Good evening and welcome. Tonight we're going to be reading from this book about Haiti. We're going to look at all the pictures and read all the little boxes. So let's dive right in. What a wonderful smile. Haiti. Even sweeter smiles there. This is a tap-tap bus in Haiti. To signal when you want to get off the bus, you tap on it. They're called tap-taps. This man is painting these beautiful pictures, but as you can see, he is in a shelter camp place because this was after the 2010 earthquake in Port-au-Prince, which you can see some of the destruction here from that event. This is Michel Martelly. He was president when this book came out, and the weird fact about him is that he was a Haitian pop star who went into politics and became president of Haiti. Beautiful hibiscus flower. It says down here it's national flower. Here is a map of Hispaniola, which contains Haiti on this side and the Dominican Republic on this side. Some of the many, many mountains you can find in Haiti. Let's read about some of it. Pushing the border. Haiti's 193-mile border with the Dominican Republic follows mountain ridges and streams from the north to the south of the island. Along a stretch of the interior highlands, the frontier is defined by the international route, a highway running parallel to the Libon River. The valleys provide easy access between the island's two countries, with the result that the migration of Haitians to the Dominican Republic was always high. Haitian farmers suffering from a lack of land at home have always looked longingly at the vast, empty stretches of land beyond the border. By settling on parts of that land and claiming them for Haiti, they pushed the border farther into the Dominican Republic. When the practice became widespread, the Haitian government stepped in and tried to reinstate the original border. But the presence of military guards did not halt the flow of Haitians into the Dominican Republic. In 2015, a Dominican court ruling stripped citizenship from children born in the Dominican Republic of Haitian parents. The Dominican government then began deporting Haitian immigrants, and tens of thousands of people now live in refugee camps just across the border in Haiti. The deportation crisis is ongoing, with neither country accepting responsibility for the deported immigrants. It's still very true today, so. Some more of the mountains here. You can see a twisty road there and there. This is the capital city, Port-au-Prince. You can see the ocean right there as well. This is Citadel of Ferrier, which at one point, Haiti's history politically was really fractured after independence, and many people claimed to rule Haiti, and the north was ruled by King Henri Christophe. And he had this huge citadel built because he suspected that the European powers would come to conquer Haiti, and he wanted a big defense fort. But he died before it was completed, and now it's just kind of eroding in the mountainside there. But it is a UNESCO site, so it's still technically being preserved. There's Columbus meeting the Taino peoples, the Arawak people. Let's read about buccaneers. This is an interesting history. In the first half of the 17th century, a group of French and English buccaneers took refuge on Tortuga Island after being driven off the Caribbean island of St. Christopher by the Spanish. the small community was soon joined by Dutch refugees. The early buccaneers were escaped servants, former soldiers, and log woodcutters from what is now southern Mexico. Together they hunted wild boar and cattle and cultivated crops. Buccaneers acquired their name from their custom of curing meat on spits called boucans. Each nationality also had its own term for the adventurers. The French called them flibustiers, from the Dutch word for freebooter. The Dutch sea rovers, or sea rovers, and the Spanish corsarios. Their stories inspired such authors as Jonathan Swift, Daniel Defoe, and Robert Louis Stevenson. To combat attacks by the Spaniards, the buccaneers banded together and called themselves the Brethren of the Coast. The more aggressive ones engaged in piracy against Spanish ships. Tortuga Island, 10 miles out to sea from Port-de-Paix on the northern coast of Haiti, was an ideal launching pad for attacks on Spanish ships transporting gold between Central America and Europe. The buccaneers worked in small crews and became known for their extreme cruelty. England, France, and the Netherlands did nothing to prevent the attacks, as they were eager to break Spain's trade monopoly. Buccaneering finally came to an end toward the end of the 17th century. A battle here during the Haitian Revolution. You can see the French soldiers there against the Haitian revolutionaries. Let's read about the slave rebellion. There's a poem here, song, I'm not sure. Hidden God in a cloud is there watching us. He sees all the whites do. The white God demands crimes, ours wants good things. But our God that is so good orders vengeance. He will ride us, assist us, throw away the thoughts of the white God who thirsts for our tears. Listen to freedom that speaks from our hearts. I'm sure it sounds better in French. With this invocation at a voodoo ceremony at Bois Cayman on August 14th, 1791, Jamaican-born Bookman Duddy, a voodoo priest, urged his countrymen to rise up in arms. 1 week later, 50,000 insurgents seized control of the important North Plain for 10 days. White planters were killed and the sugar plantations destroyed. Uprisings broke out across the country. By the time Haiti declared independence in 1804, 100,000 Haitians were dead. The opener. François Dominique Toussaint was born in 1743. He got his nickname L'Ouverture, or the opening, in the days of the rebellion. Some say the name comes from the fact that he opened the way to freedom for the black people, while others say it was because he was so good at opening moves in battle. Still others believe that it referred to the wide gap between his two front teeth. Although Toussaint was a slave, his master allowed him to learn to read and write, and even to borrow his books. As a child, he had to work in the fields together with the other slaves. His reading and conversations with the other slaves gave him knowledge of other lands where people were free and happy. Toussaint was a man of superior intellect. He learned the secrets of medicinal herbs and plants, and how to treat sick people with them. He was soon well known among the slaves. When Toussaint was in his 40s, the slave revolt broke out, and he decided to join the insurgents. As one of the few slaves who could read and write, he was a natural choice to be the leader. Toussaint had never been to military school, but his reading had given him a great knowledge of military tactics. He always made careful plans, taking his enemies by surprise and outmaneuvering them. In 1793, France agreed to free the slaves of Saint-Domingue, although it was to remain a French colony. Toussaint then became a general in the French army, fighting against the British and the Spanish, who were attacking Saint-Domingue by land and sea. In 1801, he declared himself governor for life. Napoleon, who came to power in France in 1799, refused to recognize the abolition of slavery in Santo Domingo and sent a large army to fight the newly emancipated slaves. After a few months of resistance, Toussaint was tricked into boarding a French boat, where he was arrested. He was taken to France and thrown into a medieval castle prison high in the mountains near the Swiss border. He died of pneumonia there 2 years later. When he was deported from Haiti, Toussaint vowed that the struggle for freedom would continue. Quote, "In overthrowing me, they have cut down in Saint-Domingue the trunk of the tree of black liberty. It will shoot up again through the roots, for they are numerous and deep." End quote. Here we have Papa Doc, Francois Duvalier, who was not a great person. And here is Aristide, another president. I mean, no one will be as bad as that guy. But yeah, let's read about Aristide over here. Aristide's boat people. During the winter of 1991 to 1992, owing to the violence against the supporters of ousted President Aristide, nearly 40,000 people tried to escape from Haiti by boat, heading for the United States. Those that didn't die during the 600-mile trip were picked up by the U.S. Coast Guard and detained in Cuba. Eventually, the number of refugees got to be too much, and President George H.W. Bush ordered all boat people returned to Haiti, regardless of whether or not they qualified for asylum. When Bill Clinton was elected president, he continued the policy and worked to restore Aristide to office in 1994, claiming that by refusing Haitian refugees, the United States could help prevent more Haitian deaths from drowning. Though the policy might have prevented further drownings, Clinton's return of political refugees and Aristide's restoration to the presidency did nothing to fix the ongoing political issues rife within Haiti. It's really bad right now in Haiti, I should say. The political situation is extremely dire. I'm recording this like a week before this video goes live, and it could change by then, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but it's rough. For example, this is the National Palace in Port-au-Prince, where the president's supposed to live, but A, this building was destroyed in the earthquake, and it was never rebuilt. My cat's sad about it too. B, there's currently no president in Haiti to even live in it if it was restored. This was Prime Minister at the time of this book. His name was Evans Paul. Here it is, what it looks like today. The National Palace. The elegant, gleaming white building served as the home of Haitian presidents. It was located in Port-au-Prince, facing Place Louverture near the Champ de Mars. Built in 1914 to 1920 in the French Renaissance style, the palace was more than twice the size of the White House in Washington, D.C. When the earthquake hit Port-au-Prince in 2010, the National Palace was severely damaged and could no longer be occupied. Its collapsed cupola, the center dome, became a symbol of the devastated nation. In 2012, the building was razed. Despite promises to rebuild, no real plans yet exist. Let's read about the Haitian flag. Let's cheer up a little bit. During colonial days, the Haitian flag was the same as the French flag, consisting of 3 vertical bands, blue, white, and red. During the Haitian War of Independence in the city of Arcueil on May 18, 1803, rebel leader Jean-Jacques Dessalines ripped out the white part of the flag as a symbol of the Haitians' hatred for the white colonizers. In 1818, Jean-Pierre Boyer adopted a new pattern of blue and red horizontal bands and a coat of arms, but François Duvalier changed the bands to vertical black and red in 1964. At the end of the Duvalier regime in 1986, the pre-Duvalier flag of horizontal bands of blue and red was reintroduced. The coat of arms is positioned against a white background in the center of the flag. He's got some wood here, probably to go sell. And these are slaves working, it looks like sugar, what I can tell there. Let's read about the gourd, staple food and unit of currency. The gourd, or calabash, is a very important vegetable to the poor Haitian farmer. Its flesh is used in many ways in Haitian cooking, and its shell, when dried, makes a versatile container, especially for carrying water. The leaves of the calabash tree, which is a type of creeper, can also be eaten. After becoming king of northern Haiti in 1807, Henri Christophe declared that all calabash trees were the property of the state, and so all gourds had to be bought. The use of the name gourd for a unit of the Haitian currency has continued ever since. One gourd is divided into 100 centimes. During the U.S. occupation, and in the Duvalier years, the gourd was protected from devaluation by a convention signed with the United States. The exchange rate in 2015 with the U.S. dollar was about 51 gourds to $1 US. This person is sewing something very neon bright green fabric. This talks about the barter system. My cat wants to jump up. My poor boy. I'm going to let him play with his hand. I'm going to read with this one. Due in part to the high rates of unemployment and poverty, many Haitians do not use cash. Instead, they get their daily necessities through the 19th century barter system. Usually farmers grow one or two types of vegetables, set aside what they need for themselves, and exchange the rest with other farmers for different kinds of vegetables or rice, or with shop owners for clothes and shoes. In order to buy the items that cannot be bartered, farmers sell some of their farm produce by the roadside for cash. In societies through which little cash moves, often barter is the most useful way for people with different strengths and needs to get the important things they need to survive. And this is apparently after the earthquake. It's a big busload of people leaving the city. We have Michel Martelly here, and apparently the president of the Dominican Republic at the time. Here is the big mountains. The caption's talking about the erosion. So since Haiti's mostly mountainous, lots of Haitians farmed on mountainsides, creating terraced farming, and that led to, chopping down trees, eroding topsoil, and creating extreme erosion in some of the mountains. And now they're so eroded you can't grow anything on it. Here's an example of more erosion, creating a flood in this coastal town. The cat's running around, sorry. He is making charcoal here, and then there's what it looks like when it's all done. Not even national parks are safe. Haiti has 4 national parks: Forêt des Pins, near the Dominican border, Parc La Visite, southwest of Port-au-Prince, Parc Macaya in southwestern Haiti, and Parc Historique La Citadel in Cap Haitien. Although these parks were established to protect Haiti's native wildlife and plants, there are no government funds to protect these areas from incursions. As a result, some of these parks have already been partially deforested. In 2012, the problem of protecting the environment versus the needs of a desperate people came to a head. President Michel Martelly, determined to enforce a new environmental protection effort, ordered people residing in Parc la Visite to leave. Police were sent in to evict the illegal squatters. The people resisted, explaining they had nowhere to go. As things tend to go in Haiti, the initiative ended up with police firing tear gas, then shooting and killing 4 people. They also destroyed the houses of the residents. When the park was established in the 1980s, the people living on the land were ordered to leave. The park boundaries had never been clearly established, and some of the people held titles to the land that went back decades. The evacuation order was never enforced, and naturally the people ignored it. Now suddenly the government tried to assert its authority, and the result was disaster. This is just one small example. There are countless others that demonstrates how difficult the environmental situation in Haiti is today. Here you can see a lady planting her crops, except this is within a national park, which is obviously a big no-no. There's farmers here protesting that they need more space. She's cooking on a stove here. This is after the earthquake, you can tell. It's all very chaotic in the background. And he's got some tree saplings there, hopefully to plant. This smiling guy here is kicking around his football. On the beach, it looks like that. Looks like fun. A little family here. The little sweet right there. This is an aerial view of Port-au-Prince after the earthquake. So if it doesn't look very colorful and fun, that's why. It's all destroyed if you look closer. It's all wrecked. A hard journey to a hard new life. This is going to be depressing, just so you know, obviously. The ancestors of most of today's Haitians were Africans who were brought to the New World as part of the notorious triangle trade. In the trade, ships from Europe traded money and trinkets for slaves in Africa, unloaded the slaves in the Caribbean, and then returned to Europe with sugar and other commodities. Some Africans were seized by slave hunters during night raids, while others were taken as prisoners of war during tribal wars and later sold to the European slave traders. Most slaves came from the Coromantee, Eboy, Mandingo, and Yoruba peoples. Chained to each other, they were thrown into the ship's hold, where the ceiling was so low they could not even sit up. At sailing time, members of the crew stood by with lighted torches and threatened to set fire to the ship if anyone attempted to escape. Once their homeland was no longer in sight, the slaves were allowed to come up on deck for a few minutes of exercise, always chained in pairs. Conditions were so atrocious that more than 1 in 10 died during the trip, which took between 6 and 12 weeks. Some were struck down by disease, others committed suicide. This is a really bad time for my cat to try to play with my back, trying to bat at me. Very depressing subject. A few days before arrival in the New World, the people were fed well to fatten them up, and their bodies were rubbed with oil to make them look healthy. Once off the ship, they were paraded through the streets of Port-au-Prince before being taken to the market for auction. My cat is desperately trying to get my attention, so he might try something more daring soon. Apologies for him, as always. There's some more wonderful smiling faces here. It says they're in the Dominican Republic at a refugee camp. Speaking of, seeking a better life. Throughout Haiti's tumultuous past, hundreds of thousands of Haitians have fled their homes to seek refuge in countries that offer greater political stability and a better standard of living. first wave of emigration out of Haiti came during the U.S. occupation, when poor and dispossessed farmers were invited to work in Cuba and the Dominican Republic. The Americans at that time owned large sugarcane plantations in these two countries and were short of labor. Since then, most migrants to the Dominican Republic have more or less assimilated into the local society. In the second wave were professionals and educated Haitians fleeing the repressive Duvalier regimes. Teachers, artists, politicians who opposed Papa Doc and Baby Doc's policies, and administrators of international organizations were granted asylum in such cities as Paris, New York, and Montreal. They were later joined by skilled workers and technicians. The immigration of skilled workers and trained professionals has only made Haiti's economic and social problems worse. Given Haiti's bleak prospects, however, it is not surprising that these immigrants left, and it is unlikely that they will soon return to their native homeland. The most recent wave of immigrants includes manual workers, taxi drivers, and laborers. Most of them are living abroad illegally, especially in the United States. In all, it is estimated that a third of all Haitians are living outside their country. In the United States, about 197,000 Haitian immigrants live in the greater Miami area, while another 158,000 are living in the greater New York City area. Emigration to France is a more recent phenomenon. Often illegal immigrants manage to get into France from Haiti via one of France's overseas territories, such as Martinique, Guadeloupe, or French Guiana. These people are selling clothes here in the street. My goodness, and he is selling... What is that? Something that's very tightly packaged and very cool. Looks like lollipops. Maybe it's candy. Cooking there. Big pot here. And this is the Iron Market in Port-au-Prince. Aptly named, as you can tell. Tonton Macoute. This is also going to be very upsetting and depressing, just so you know. In 1959, President François Duvalier, or Papa Doc, set up a private police force to consolidate his power and protect himself against the army which he feared. First called the Milice Civile, the force's name was changed to Volontaires de la Sécurité Nationale, or National Security Volunteers, better known as the Tonton Macoute, or just Macoute. Haitians used that name for the paramilitary force in reference to the Haitian Creole mythological character Tonton Macoute, which is Uncle Gunnysack. He is a boogeyman who kidnaps and punishes unruly children by snaring them in a gunny sack, or macoute, and eating them. Macoute were characterized by their unwavering loyalty to the president and their use of extreme violence. Their tactics included torture, kidnapping, and murder, and their activities were above the law. At the height of their reign of terror, there were around 10,000 Macoute spread all over the country. A hardcore group of 2,000 were based in Port-au-Prince. Most were drawn from the urban black lower class and personally selected by Duvalier. Rural Macoute wore a uniform of faded denim and carried old rifles, while urban Macoute dressed in shiny blue suits and carried pistols. As only the trusted elite within the force were paid a salary, Macoute had the right to extort money from the population and to accept bribes. At the daily roadblocks they operated in and around Port-au-Prince. They exacted a toll from all motorists. A Macoute also had the right to force his way into any house and demand to be fed. After the fall of the Duvalier regime in 1986, Macoute were hunted down by a population enraged by decades of terror, and many were lynched in the streets. The force was officially disbanded, but plainclothes squads of attachés, paramilitary vigilantes modeled on the Macoute, hello cat, continue to operate under the control of Haiti's National Chief of Police. Following the October 1993 blockade of international police, monitors, and the murder of unknown numbers of Haitians, the United Nations Security Council called for the disarming of attachés. Aristide disbanded the police and replaced them with new recruits. Thank you to the cat for trying to lighten the mood of this very depressing topic. He's a little chaos monster. He'll be back in a second. These look like UN police forces. What does it say? MINUSTA? It's gotta be UN. They're wearing UN blue helmets. Handing out some food there to the little. It says she was orphaned by the earthquake. How sad. And they're working very hard in school. Washing clothes in the river there. Let's read about, also very upsetting, malnutrition. Most Haitians eat only one small meal a day, and their calorie intake is the lowest in the Americas. The cat's trying to eat my water bottle. Please don't eat my water bottle. Move it over here. According to some estimates, approximately 20% of children in Haiti below the age of 5 are malnourished. Lack of food and inadequate nutrition have led to the widespread occurrence of chronic and often fatal diseases. What is this? Kwashiorkor, a disease caused by the lack of protein, which may lead to permanent mental and physical disability, is widespread among children. Poor rural Haitian children are at least 6 inches shorter and 50 pounds lighter than American children of the same age, and most grow up into weak adults with little resistance to disease. You always come at the most depressing times, my kitten. Can you... I would keep you here, but you're standing on the page. He wants to play so bad. Look at this. Look at this cat trying to bite me. Look at this cat trying to bite me. Oh, he's vicious. Look at this biter. He's got fuzz on you. Okay, come on, dude. Okay. I gotta turn the page now. I gotta turn. Don't bite the camera again. Don't you dare. I've learned my lesson last time. He's still trying to bite my freaking water bottle. Leave it alone. I need that. Okay, move your foot. I can turn the page. And we can read about subsistence living. Maybe the cat will calm down the mood again. Between 60 to 80% of the Haitian population lives in poverty. Most are poor farmers who try to scratch a living out of an uncooperative land. Their lifestyle has remained virtually unchanged throughout the history of the country. He's biting my hand. Because, move. Don't bite the book. You're not allowed to bite the book. Because most farmers own their own land. Look at this monster. They find it difficult to break away from their traditional way of life, thus perpetuating their dependence on the land and their poverty. Plots are typically too small to enable farmers to grow sufficient food for their families. Widespread soil erosion and a lack of irrigation have reduced the productivity of the soil, making it even harder for farmers to grow what they need. As families grow larger and land plots get divided, some people are left landless and have to resort to sharecropping, working for another farmer in return for some crops. The plight of Haitian farmers was made worse when Haiti's economy was opened up to free trade after 1994. Farmers found that their products could not compete with cheaper imports, and their already meager incomes decreased farther. At least the cat tried to make it a little less upsetting, right? This guy is deep in prayer here. Big, beautiful church altar there. Receiving communion. And more people very deep in prayer there. Their church. This is a Day of the Dead ceremony. They're going to the graves of their loved ones, all dressed up. And this man is possessed by a loa, which is a voodoo spirit. They're having a voodoo ceremony there. Here's another one. Someone in a trance. And there's a voodoo amulet. Speaking of, let's read about zombies. The Haitian belief in zombies is rooted in the traditions brought by enslaved Africans. It was thought that the voodoo deity Baron Samedi would gather them from graves and bring them to a heaven-like afterlife in Africa. That is, unless the person had offended the deity in some way, to which case they would be a slave forever after death. Two types of zombies exist in the tradition, one being an enslaved body, a body without a soul. It is physically revived by a Bokor sorcerer, a witch-like figure, and used for its strength and lack of will. The other is an incorporeal zombie, the zombie astral. The enslaved soul held in a bottle and sold for advantages in luck, healing, or business achievement. This type, it is understood, is a temporary entity, as God will eventually take back the soul. Haitians are not afraid of zombies, but would rather not encounter them. Their greatest fear is to become one themselves. In the soulless zombie, the Haitian sees everything that is despicable. Loss of the powers of perception and loss of self-control. For a Haitian, no fate is more terrible. To prevent their deceased from being turned into zombies, Haitians take several precautions before burying their dead. These include stabbing the corpse in the heart with a knife before burial, and clipping their hair and nails of the deceased, and burying the clippings with the body. And zombie mythology comes from Haiti, if you didn't know. Isn't that interesting? Reading a little book to this little, paying very close attention in school there. Haitian proverbs. Haitian Creole is a lively and colorful language. It expresses the very soul of the Haitian people, their wisdom and sense of humor. Creole conversation is sprinkled with proverbs that tell of fatalism and resignation, and of the cunning and carefulness needed when faced with the powerful in Haitian society. Here's a few examples. On an unlucky day, sour cream might break your skull, and a sweet potato peel might cut your foot. Do not insult the crocodile's mother before crossing the river. The donkey does the work, while the horse gets the medal. Well, greetings. Haitians are a warm and hospitable people. A huge billboard proclaiming "Welcome to Haiti" in French greets visitors to the island, and it is typical for Haitians to smile and call out "Bonjour blanc" or "Hi there white" whenever they see a Caucasian visitor on the street. Haitians are careful to show respect to one another, despite their characteristic lack of formality. When visiting friends, they say honneur, or honor, when they arrive. The host replies with respect, or respect. Bienvenue en Haiti. Let's see, what are they protesting here? It's in Creole, I can't read it. Improvements to the education system. Makes sense. Creoles around the world. Creole languages spring up when groups of people who speak different languages make contact with each other and need to develop a quick way of communicating without learning each other's native language. As Europeans explored other continents, set up trading relations with other peoples, and transported slaves from Africa to the New World, a number of Creole languages based on European languages developed around the world. From English came Gullah, spoken off the coast of South Carolina, Shranantongo, spoken in Suriname, and Pidgin English, which still flourishes in Melanesia, like the New Hebrides, Solomon Islands, and New Guinea, Hawaii, and Papua New Guinea. From French, there are the Creoles of Haiti, Louisiana, and the Lesser Antilles. And from Pidgin Spanish and Portuguese, there is the Papiamento of Curaçao. Easier to learn than the native languages of so many different countries, Creole languages are often indispensable as a means of communication, as an educational tool, and in politics. And here's a newspaper in French, so I can actually read it. Aristide rejects U.S. demand of differences. Oh, I'm not sure about retour. Anyway, I'm not perfect at French, but it's the other language that I'm best at. The state of the press. Historically, freedoms of the press and of expression in Haiti, though constitutionally protected, were free in name only. The press has long endured a rigorous system of censorship and repression. During the Duvalier regimes, newspapers were not allowed to publish anything that could be construed as criticism of the government. Throughout Haitian history, journalists have been persecuted, imprisoned, shot, and exiled for falling afoul of the ruling party. However, over the last decade, the situation has improved significantly, with a marked downturn in violence against journalists. Still, the situation is far from ideal. An article of the Constitution says that the government must publicize all laws, international agreements, treaties, and contracts, though the government generally makes it difficult for journalists to access that information. Here's about illiteracy. Haiti has traditionally had a poor record on literacy. Before independence, there were no schools in Haiti, and the colonialists simply sent their children to France to be educated. After independence, the state continued to neglect education, providing only a minimal elementary and high school system, doing little to address the poverty that still faces so many Haitian children to abandon school at an early age, and failing to offer elementary and secondary education in their native Creole language. In 1985, according to UNESCO estimates, the average rate of adult illiteracy was 62.4%, the highest in the Western Hemisphere, with a staggering 85% rate in rural areas. After the introduction of basic adult education programs in Creole, illiteracy has fallen to 40% in 2015, according to the CIA. This is Wyclef Jean. He's a very famous Haitian musician. You know him from, he's on Shakira's Hips Don't Lie track. And an artist with some really beautiful, looks like cloth. Like, I want to say paintings, but it's not paint, it's cloth. Like quilt squares almost. There's a tap-tap bus there. They're very, very colorful, completely colored. And they're playing rah-rah music. Let's read about musical instruments. Haitian music is defined by the sound of the drum. Drums are used in both religious and secular performances. The standard drum used in voodoo ceremonies is the rada. Always found together in a set of 3, the rada is made up of the mama, the largest drum, which is struck with a wooden hammer. The seconde, which is struck with a baguette, which is a bow-shaped piece of wood strung with a cord. And the bula, or kata, the smallest of the three drums, which is hit with 2 sticks. Rada drums are usually painted in the colors of the spirits to which they are dedicated, and are easily recognizable by the wooden pegs or knobs inserted below the rim of the head to tighten the skin. Rada drums are considered to be sacred objects by voodoo practitioners, and when a set of drums is fashioned, a voodoo rite has to be performed to consecrate the drums before they are used. Drums that are played during Carnival come in 3 types: a conical one about 3 feet high, tightened by crisscrossing ropes, a small cylindrical hand drum hung from a cord around the neck of the player, and a double-headed drum beaten with sticks or bare hands. A distinctive Haitian instrument is the marambula. It is a box-like instrument with an opening in the face across which are fastened steel thongs of varied length and corresponding tonal differences. The player sits straddled across the box, while alternately or concurrently plucking the steel bands and beating the face of the box with the palm of their hand. Other instruments used in Haitian music are rattles, guitars, trumpets, and scrapers. Carnival boys blow the grand bow, trumpets made from 3 or 4 foot long joints of bamboo. We saw the other page, I believe. The Spanish tambourine is as popular in Haiti as in the other Caribbean islands. The thumb of the right hand is covered with powdered resin and then drawn in a rapid spiral circling the face of the tambourine. The result is a humming roar that can be heard from far away. Edwidge Danticat. One of the most famous and well-known respected contemporary Haitian writers is Edwidge Danticat, who is the author of over a dozen books. She was born in 1969 in Port-au-Prince, where she lived until age 9, at which point she moved to Brooklyn, New York. Her earliest writings reflected her disorientation brought on by the move from Haiti. Some of the prevailing themes in her work include what it means to be of Haitian descent, the relationships between mothers and daughters, and how one navigates the world with a bicultural identity. She has won many awards for her literature and has worked on projects about Haitian art, as well as documentaries about Haiti. She remains a staunch advocate for issues affecting Haitians. Her novels include Breath, Ice, Memory, The Two-Breaker, and Claire of the Sea Light. Crick Crack is a collection of short stories, and Brother, I'm Dying is a memoir. In addition, she has written several young adult novels and a picture book. There's some street art there of Michel Martelly. And here is just a typical French colonial kind of style that you find in Port-au-Prince. Here it talks about Michel Martelly, Sweet Mickey for President. Who would have ever dreamed that Haiti's most popular, most provocative, outlandish, diaper-wearing, cross-dressing pop star would run for president? He did, and he won. In 2010, the musician who went by the name Sweet Mickey became Michel Martelly, the president of Haiti. In 2015, near the end of Martelly's term, the documentary movie Sweet Mickey for President was released. Narrated by Michel of the American hip-hop group The Fugees, the movie follows the unlikely candidate through the election. Presented with verve, attitude, enthusiasm, and great music, the movie has high entertainment value. Most critics find, however, that the film was one-sided. Michel is a good friend of Martelly's after all, and the question of whether Martelly had any credentials other than popularity to become president of a desperate country is not addressed. Nonetheless, the movie won both the Audience Award and Jury Award for Documentary Feature at the Slamdance Film Festival in 2015. The eighth wonder of the world. We're going to read about Citadel of Ferrières. Built as the crowning glory of King Henri Christophe's reign, the Citadel of Ferrières is the largest fortress ever built in the Western Hemisphere. Standing at the peak of a 3,000-foot mountain, the citadel can only be reached by riding a mule. Eccentric King Christophe, who ruled the north of Haiti from 1807 to 1820, was a great builder of castles and palaces. He built the Sans Souci Palace at the base of the mountain as a private retreat, but he embarked on the citadel with a loftier purpose in mind. It was intended to be a fortress against a French invasion of his kingdom. Sitting on top of a mountain and shaped in an irregular square, the Citadel of Ferrières tapers to a prow. The walls, 80 to 130 feet high and 20 to 30 feet thick, surround a central parade ground, and 360 huge cannons guard all approaches. The fortress was designed to contain a garrison of 10,000 soldiers. Work on the citadel started in 1804 and continued sporadically for the next 15 years. It is alleged that 200,000 people were put to work on the fortress, and over 20,000 of them died from exhaustion during construction. But King Christophe's dream of seeing the building completed never came true. In 1821, the people revolted against him, and he committed suicide. His wife and a loyal courtier carried his body to the citadel and dropped it in a vat of quicklime in the courtyard to fulfill his wish of being buried in his fortress. The Citadel of Ferrières was never completed and has never been used. Still, it is Haiti's most revered national symbol and is a monument to the lives sacrificed in the struggle for freedom. Designated by the United Nations as one of the world's cultural treasures, the building is considered by some to be the eighth wonder of the world. However, neglect and the effect of the tropical climate taken their toll, and the stone and mortar structure is in dire need of repair. Playing dominoes. I love dominoes. Playing football there on the beach. Cockfighting. I'm actually going to skip this one because it's really upsetting and technically animal cruelty. Just know that, like, it's a big deal in Haiti. It's like a very common pastime there. But in countries like mine, in America, it's considered, like, atrocious. I'm just going to skip that one. It's kind of upsetting. This is a Mardi Gras costume. Very wonderful. And there's another one. He's a giant bee, it looks like. She's got a little handout there for a Christmas parade. Some bread and sweets. Christmas sights. Months before Christmas, children begin working on their fanal, or Christmas lantern. Cardboard strips are glued together in the shape of a house or church. A design is drawn in pencil on the cardboard walls and then carefully punched out with a nail. Colored paper is pasted on the inside of the walls, and when a lighted candle or small kerosene lamp is placed inside the fanal, the pattern stands out like stained glass. On Christmas Eve, boys and girls carry their fanals in a procession around the streets of the town or village. It's a wonderful sight, and many people come out to their doorsteps to watch the procession. When they get home, the children place the fanal near their windows so that passerby can catch its glow. Children also make nativity scenes in school. Cardboard figures of Joseph, Mary, Jesus, and the wise men are placed in a creche. In some country towns, large nativity scenes are built in the town square and may feature public figures, such as the mayor or the tax collector. Christmas trees are not common, They are popular only among the rich urban upper class. The custom was left behind by the Americans who occupied Haiti before World War II. A more common sight is the decorated tonnelle in rural areas. Haitians hang gourds and strips of colored paper on the tonnelle to give it a festive atmosphere. They're celebrating. So, Haitian Independence Day is January 1st, so New Year's Day and Independence Day is one big holiday. That's what they're celebrating here. Let's read about Rah Rah. You can see the big tubes there. Rah Rah bands appear during Lent, the period between Carnival, which ends with Mardi Gras, and Easter. Wearing colored shirts and carrying a red flag, they dance their way down the streets in the mountains and villages. Sometimes they carry a dead chicken on a stick or lanterns made of tins filled with kerosene. Rah Rah bands dance and sing to the beat of drums. For small gifts of money, they will dance for onlookers. The leaders are accomplished dancers dressed like jesters with brightly colored handkerchiefs and sequined capes. When two groups meet, their leaders sometimes challenge each other to competitive dances. Near the town of Jérémie, Rah Rah festivities include exhibitions by wrestlers, who are sometimes accompanied by their own musicians. During Holy Week, the Rah Rah carry an effigy of Judas Iscariot from place to place. On Good Friday, the effigy is hidden, and the community makes merry as it hurries about in search of the hiding place so the villainous effigy can be destroyed. The Rah Rah do not dance on Easter Sunday. List of holidays there. Let's read about washing away bad luck. On July 16th, the little town of Villebonnière, which means happiness town, swarms with 50,000 strong crowds that have come from all over Haiti to celebrate the Seau d'Eau, or Waterfall Festival. The Virgin Mary is reported to have appeared at the top of a palm tree near the waterfall in the 19th century. Today, tens of thousands of pilgrims come to pray to the Virgin and at the same time tell their sorrows to the voodoo spirits. In long lines, they make their way to the rock where La Tombe River falls in a cascade. Standing under the gushing water, they hope to wash away their bad luck. One after another, silently, they come down from the waterfall with tears streaming down their cheeks. Nearby, the presence of gaming tables and the sound of beating drums give an air of carnival to the gathering. But this notion is quickly dispelled by the chorus of supplications coming from the parish church. Baron Samedi, we mentioned him before. Baron Samedi, or Baron Saturday, is the male Loa of death and the custodian of cemeteries in voodoo. He and his wife, the Loa Maman Brigitte, are regarded as the spiritual parents of the departed. In rituals held on the Day of the Dead, voodoo worshippers pray, give offerings, and invoke Baron Samedi in order to communicate with the dead. Similar to the way that the Loa Legba connects Loas to the living, Baron Samedi acts as a bridge between the world of the dead and the world of the living. Baron Samedi is often depicted as a tall man dressed in a funeral black coat and top hat. Believers have great respect for the Baron, since he is the Loa of death. Supposedly, the late President François Duvalier dressed himself to look like Baron Samedi to intimidate the citizenry. There is, however, another side to Baron Samedi. According to voodoo beliefs, Baron Samedi dislikes ending the lives of children. As a protector of children, voodoo priests and priestesses will call upon him to heal sick children. And this is another Day of the Dead ceremony here. Voodoo ceremony. So we've got some bananas here she's carrying. making some clay biscuits, it says, so some little clay things there. It says the cradle pig. The cradle pig was a species of pig indigenous to Haiti, now extinct. As livestock, they were well adapted to the climate and conditions present in rural Haiti. They were used as food, slaughtered as payment for marriages, emergencies, school, or voodoo ceremonies. In 1983, African swine fever hit the pig population of the neighboring Dominican Republic. There was serious concern that the flu could spread to Haiti and the United States. Along with USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development, the Haitian authorities slaughtered all the Creole pigs. Less hardy white pigs were imported from the United States as replacements, but Haitians were either unable to afford the new pigs or saw many of them die from disease. Many farmers consequently suffered a drop in their standard of living. Recently, there have been attempts to breed a pig with similar characteristics and qualities of the Creole pig. If these efforts succeed, it would be a victory for a group of people that has little to celebrate. Carrying some mangoes here, and I censored this picture because this guy's selling live chickens and they're all tied together on his back, and it's a little much. So we're not looking at that picture. Some red beans and rice. Let's read about a taste of place. Haiti's cuisine represents the best of its varied and multiple influences. While similar to the rest of the Latin Caribbean, Haitian food is unique in its boldness and spice, representing its African foundation, but the colonial French influence is apparent in its sophistication of technique. The effect of Caribbean geography is apparent in the use of fish, shellfish, and native fruits and vegetables, such as coconuts, plantains, mangoes, limes, okra, beans, yams, and cassava. Beans or other legumes used in the daily fare of rice and beans are native to the Western Hemisphere and were staples for indigenous peoples. The legacy of poverty is obvious by the use of dried and smoked fish in many dishes. Unless they live by the sea, Haitians do not eat fresh fish, as it requires refrigeration. Goat and chicken are the most commonly used meats when meat is featured in a meal, because these animals require little supervision and can forage for themselves. There's some sugar cane there. There's the iron market from the outside, beautiful building. And again from the inside. Some recipes here for potato salad. I hate potato salad. Not a fan. But pumpkin soup sounds good. I love pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin soup doesn't sound bad. There's a map of Haiti and where it's located in the world on this weird map. You can see it is right there in the Caribbean. So that is it for today. Apologies for the cat disrupting, but he's just trying to get my attention. It's fine. He just wants to go play. He's probably passed out somewhere now. I probably bored him to death. But that will be it for tonight. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good